Hey guys, I'm Martin.
And I'm Lewis.
We're two guys and one grill. Welcome to this week's episode, guys. Today we're cooking USDA Prime tri-tips.
So we have two methods of cooking them. One method was brought to us by his mom. That's the way she does. It's a little more quick. It's still super flavorful. Still makes the meat super tender, and we're still cooking it indirectly, so the meat doesn't tighten up. The second way is the way that I kind of made up myself after seeing all the stuff on Instagram and YouTube and whatever. So the two methods, we have a higher heat for a lower duration of time, and we have one that's going to go into the smoker for a little bit longer of a period of time, and it's going to be on lower temperatures in comparison. But both of them are super killer recipes, super killer ways of cooking tri-tip, and both of them come out with tri-tips that are extremely tender and perfectly cooked. I mean, they're practically dummy proof, to be honest with you.
Alright guys, here are all the seasonings we're going to be using today for the tri-tips. This side is going to be the seasonings for the smoker, this side is going to be the seasonings for the oven. First, we're going to use olive oil as a binder, and following that, we're going to be putting balsamic vinegar, which is going to give it a sweet, savory flavor. Also help the meat tenderize because of the vinegar. Following the balsamic vinegar, we're going to be applying just a generic, basic mustard. What that's going to do is give it that rich, savory flavor that we're looking for, and it's also going to help hold what's next, which is Montreal steak seasoning. Montreal steak seasoning, when we put it on it, we're going to load it up with it. It's going to build a super nice crust that's going to cook nice in the oven, which is going to give us that flavor that we're looking for. And now Louis is going to explain how he's going to marinate the tri-tip that's going on the smoker.
So, like the method in the oven, we're going to start off with obviously the basic binder, which is going to be olive oil. And now, once we lay down the olive oil, we're going to rub that into the meat, and then we're going to lay our salt, our pepper, but these are all going to be light coats, along with garlic, ground garlic. These are all going to be light coats that are going to go on top of the meat, just as like the basic foundation for our flavor. We want that kosher salt to sink into the meat, retain that moisture like we said previously, and then once those three basic seasonings are on, we're going to go ahead and lay down some chipotle mustard. I mean, this stuff packs a little bit of a punch, eating it raw at the bottle, but once we cook it, it's going to really develop a nice like little bit of a chipotle spicy flavor that we're looking for. So then after that's on, we're going to start with a little bit of this, holy cow. And then after that, we're going to do a little bit of Traeger rub and some super chunk to finalize it with a little bit of rosemary. And after that, we're just going to throw it in the smoker. I mean, it's simple as that. But we want layers. Layers of flavor is always what we're looking for. We want to build on the basic flavors of salt, pepper, and garlic. We want to build on that by adding these little bit of exotic flavors, these seasonings.
All right, guys. So here we have the barbecue sauce that we use. One that we love is bone sucking barbecue sauce. Here we have the tri-tip soaking up in apple cider vinegar, and here we have our brioche buns.
So the reason why we use thicker style and hot is because we end up mixing them, and it creates like a little bit of a sweet and spicy flavor. And the thicker style has nice chunks of garlic, which is what we're looking for too. I mean, it just complements the red meat. So then after that, we have prime USDA tri-tips, as we mentioned before. Reason why we soak them in apple cider vinegar is because we want to allow like the 30 minutes or an hour to loosen up the meat, because tri-tip naturally I feel like is a very tight meat. So when it's cooked on indirect heat, I mean, it loosens it up. So just to amplify that process, we're gonna let them soak for this has been sitting for about 45 minutes, and then after that, when the meat is done being cooked, we have our French brioche buns, the best quality. I mean, it really complements the red meat and the barbecue sauce, because it has a little hint of sweetness to it, but not too much. And that's the reason why I go with this brand, is because it's not too sweet and doesn't override the flavor, the savory flavor that we're going to be building on when we add the layers of mustard and
Alright guys, so this is the tri-tip after we seasoned it up. This side is the side that's going inside of the oven, and this is the one that's going inside of the smoker. So first what I did was I put the olive oil as a binder, of course, like always. Then what we did was add the mustard. We put a really heavy layer of mustard over it, so it really grabs the rest of the flavors and seasonings that we're going to be applying. Following the mustard, I put not too much of the balsamic vinegar, but I did put enough so we can get a little bit of that sweet flavor that we're looking for. So the reason why you don't put balsamic vinegar directly on top of olive oil is because they don't stick together and they'll all just fall off. Also, with the Montreal steak seasoning, if you put it on before the balsamic vinegar, it'll just wash it right off, which is, you don't want that. You'll find that once you turn it over to do the other side and you flip it back, some of the balsamic and mustard and all the stuff falls off, you don't need to add more on top of it from the bottles and stuff like that. All you got to do is just grab from the pan and just put it back on top and really just rub it in super hard so it sticks on. You only want to flip it once, not twice, so it doesn't keep on falling off.
So what we got going on over here is the tri-tip that's going inside the smoker. So like I said previously, olive oil as a binder, salt, pepper, garlic, rub that in nice and well, and we hit the back side of it, flipped it back over. We applied the chipotle mustard and a generous coat, like a really generous coat. There's one thing you can't cheap out on, and it's food, dude. I mean, food it's fuel. So I mean, you gotta be generous, you know. So we were generous with the chipotle mustard, and that was our second layer of flavor. So we had the basic layer of flavor, then now we have that chipotle mustard, which gives that spicy chipotle flavor we're looking for. After that, we hit the super chunk, the Holy Cow Meat Church, and we did the Traeger rub and the rosemary. So that's our third layer of flavor. So we're just building up. But keep in mind, guys, when you guys are doing this at home, since we're using so many different blends of seasonings, you don't want to overpower the person or yourself who's eating it, who's consuming it after it's done being cooked. So you don't want to be too generous with the salt and pepper as the first layer. You want to be a little light with it because a lot of these blends already contain salt and pepper. So all this prep time and cook time is going to be all thrown down the drain if you just overload it. So you guys got to know when to load up and when to load down. And in this situation, there's multiple layers of flavor, so you don't want to overpower the meat. So right now we're going to go a little lighter on the seasoning, but the mustard is always going to be good. The mustard won't clash with any other flavors that we're tacking onto this meat. So the first thing that's going in is going to be the one that's going to be smoked, the tri-tip that's being smoked. So we're going to put it in for about an hour or so on the smoke setting, on the Traeger, which is going to be basically 180 degrees. We're not looking to cook it. We're looking to have the mustard solidify and create that crust. So it's going to look like it's solid on top, but when you touch it, it's going to be still a little liquidy. And that's what we're looking for. So once I see that hardens up and we let it sit for an hour in the smoke, then we're going to crank it up to about 250. So once we crank it up to 250, then we're trying to get the internal temperature that's actually cooking the inside. And then after it's at 250 for about an hour and a half, the final temperature we're going is 300 for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how the meat looks and how the meat feels. And the crust should be hardened by then. And once we cut open the tri-tip, as you guys will see later, the top part of the mustard will be completely solid, but the bottom will still be a little runny, like as if you're cooking a sunny side up egg, and it's just out of this world. So
cook time for the tri-tip going in the oven is going to be about 20 to 25 minutes. Basically how we're going to do it is we're going to preheat the oven to 500. You want to let it get to 500 before you put it in. A lot of people just turn the oven on and throw it in right away. What that's going to do is it's going to put the meat through a boiling process, which you do not want. So once it's at 500, we're going to go ahead and stick it in. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Are you going to foil the top?
No, we never foil the top. It's going to also end up boiling it.
All right, guys, so we got the tri-tip in the Traeger. Now we're on our smoke setting, and it's 180 degrees. So it's going to sit here, like I said, for about an hour to 45 minutes until that top layer of mustard looks like it's solidified, but still a little liquid. All right, guys, so it's been roughly an hour. We're going to move from the smoke setting up to about 250, and we're going to let it sit there for about another hour or so from the look of it. And as you can see, the meat is still soft, and with the top is releasing oil, but you see the mustard didn't stick to my finger. That's why I know the top is kind of solidifying, and that's exactly where I want it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and crank it up to about 250 and let it relax. In the meantime, enjoy a cold one with some friends, listen to some music, and chill. So we still got some more time going.
All right, guys. So now the oven's ready at 500 degrees. We're gonna go ahead and stick it in the oven. As you can see, we did leave the marination inside of the tray. Basically what that's going to do is just going to build a little crust on the bottom. It's totally fine, and it also acts as a lubricant so it doesn't get stuck to the tray. Alright guys, so it's been about 22-23 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Give it a feel on both ends. Definitely has started to harden up. The feeling is about medium. So we are going to pull it out. I can show you guys exactly what it looks like. Alright guys, so the reason why we let it sit before we cut it open is so the meat can just soak up all the juices. We're gonna go ahead and slice it up right now. It's cooked for about 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll show you what the inside looks like. Nice medium, medium rare, which is exactly what we're looking for. And as you can see, no juice is leaked out. The meat soaked everything up.
Alright guys, so Martin cut up the meat, always against the grain. Make sure it's always against the grain because you don't want the meat to come out tough after all that labor and prep work. So now we got 3 pieces of meat. We're gonna show you how we would plate it. So right here we have locally bought. This is all fresh, made for today, made for this event. We purchased it from a local spot in San Diego. So we usually stray away from making this ourselves, not because we're unable to, but more so because we know people who excel in this, you know, smoking field and restaurants. So we want to be able to enjoy the food and get the best of the best. And we know, you know, going to somewhere local save us time and honestly improve the overall quality of the plate. So we're gonna go ahead and lay down these 3 pieces of tri-tip right down here. Stack them up. I'm gonna put a little side of our mixed barbecue sauce. Boom. And then we're gonna go ahead and take some coleslaw. Stack that up. All right, and now we're gonna add some of the beans. Bam. And now we got a beautiful plate. The reason why we didn't make this one into a sandwich is because the marination that we went with is more of a marination for like a steak, you know. So we have those flavor components, and we don't want to, you know, take that away by putting it into the brioche bread. The other tri-tip that we're smoking is gonna go into that brioche bread to make a nice sandwich. But right as of right now, you know, this is our plate. All right, guys. So we got tri-tip number 2 just came off the smoker. We're gonna go ahead and cut it up. Oh, so that's what it's looking like right now. That's a nice medium well maybe. And we're gonna go ahead and chop it up and show you how we make our tri-tip sandwich. All right guys, tri-tips all cut up from the smoker. We're gonna go ahead and show you how to make the perfect tri-tip sandwich. So we're gonna get a couple pieces of tri-tip. We're gonna lay them down. We like to cut them a little thin just so it's not too thick of a bite and we can close the sandwich properly. So we're gonna lay it right down on top of each other. We're gonna grab our thicker style and spicy barbecue sauce, do a light coat right over, and then we're gonna put our sides. I like to put coleslaw inside of the sandwich. It tastes a lot better in my opinion, freshens up from that meat taste. And then we gotta hit our beans. Boom. And there is the perfect tri-tip sandwich. Boom. So the tri-tip is done. We got 2 perfectly great recipes, methods of cooking. We got our smoker and our oven. Our oven is for, you know, you're a little bit of a time constraint and you want to get going, cook some food, cook some dinner. And the smoker is you got a little bit of time, you're chilling at the, you know, at the house, cracking open a cold one, hanging out with the family. We got the perfect tri-tip sandwich, coleslaw, tri-tip, some of our barbecue sauce and our beans, and perfect tri-tip plate. Turn it off. I have a spoon. Good enough.
If you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to comment down below.
And here's our sides, our coleslaw and our beans again.
That's like, I don't know when you're gonna stop to go to that.
We tried a new method of structuring this video. If you guys like it, please hit that like button and leave a nice comment.
Don't forget to subscribe. Also, give us a follow on our Instagram at 2guys1grill with 3 L's. I think it's time to eat. We're starving. Been cooking all night. I'm Martin.
And I'm Lewis.
We're two guys and one grill.